How did Jesus learn obedience by suffering? We were told this in Hebrews chapter 5 verse 8, where it states, "Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered." So, let's get right into it. First of all, Jesus Christ had never experienced such tribulation up to that point. Before he came down to this earth, he'd do things for God Almighty, like when he appeared on earth in the form of Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14 verses 18 to 20. But Jesus Christ had never had to face death or persecution from everyone around him. Abraham went through something kind of similar, but on a lower scale in Genesis chapter 22 verses 1 to 15, when he had to sacrifice his son Isaac, and that moment tested his obedience towards God. Someone can see how much they can obey when they're put in a situation where they'd really want to do the opposite. Jesus Christ isn't power-hungry like Satan the devil, whose plan was to become as great as God, according to Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 14. Therefore, Jesus Christ obeying God in heaven wouldn't really be that much of an issue, as Jesus Christ was already obedient. But many of the most obedient ones have their limits, and it was only through Jesus' time on earth that one could know where his were, and those limits were found to be non-existent, as he 100% succeeded in the mission. We can see this in Matthew chapter 26 verses 39 to 42, where his death was imminent, but he still wanted to do his Father's will, despite his fate. He told God, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done." Of course, through this tribulation, Jesus Christ learned the skills necessary for the job he'd have after coming back to heaven, being king of God's kingdom, as was prophesied in all the verses you can see on the screen right now. But we could go through a few of them together. "For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion." So Jesus Christ was going to rule God's kingdom, but he needed to prepare for the challenges he would face while doing so. His time on earth is all the preparation he would need and more. Not only did he strengthen his ability to obey and trust in God, like, for example, when Satan tempted him in Matthew chapter 4 verses 1 to 11, but he also learned patience, how humans work and the suffering they go through, and compassion, as was said in Hebrews chapter 4 verses 14 to 15, where it says, "Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin." There's also Hebrews chapter 2 verses 17 to 18 if you're interested in looking into it a little bit more. Now there's also another example of those who learned obedience and trust in God through suffering, and those are the Israelites. We all know what they went through when going from Egypt to Canaan, and how stubborn they were, which God pointed out in Numbers chapter 14 verse 22. But when they got to the land, they were purified and faithful towards God, completely different from when they left, which was said by Moses when he was recounting what happened during the trip, in Deuteronomy chapter 8 verses 2 to 3. And in those verses, Moses told the congregation, "And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live." So Jesus Christ learned obedience through suffering because that's the only way anyone learns anything, and that trait, along with others, is very important to the role he took when he went back to heaven, as he became king of God's kingdom. And that's the end of this video. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section below. And if you like the video, you can always subscribe or hit the like button or hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of when I post again. Have a great day, and that's the end of How Did Jesus Christ Learn Obedience by Suffering, according to Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8.